countdown. Let's get this one started.
That's right, so this is going to be game 2 between Squirtle and PartinG here. It is going to be on Ohana. That's Squirtle's choice. We just saw PartinG just barely take that last win. Always PvP being that game of just losing a couple extra units than your opponent, and then that's really, I mean, that's the end of it. It's just so hard to come back from that. First, we saw Squirtle lost that Cell in the beginning, and then he took the gamble with the expansion, and it just didn't pay off for him. So let's go ahead and get our players introduced for game number 2.
And kill that music, please. Let's hear in the northwest position as the red Protoss. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Star Tails Squirtle.
And his opponent, we just saw him take a huge game 1 in the series, playing down the lower right-hand corner as the blue Protoss. Give a cheer for Star Tails PartinG!
Apparently, StarCraft and hip-hop are going to have to match today because it's not going away. Now, in this particular matchup, we see something very similar to what came down. I mean, in the last game, again, it was a lot about that control. Good unit control at the beginning, the proper force fields. We had the first one, trap that initial Zealot. Automatically, a little advantage that you've got going into, you know, the later minutes of the game. But I think ultimately that second Immortal and the later Robotics Bay was what really, really won PartinG that game.
Yeah, that was just so smart. Like, he's just metagaming, figuring that, okay, my opponent, every time that he PvPs, he's going to try making a one-base push. So that means that I can take small risks to try to just get a little bit ahead, and really it paid off for him. He was able to take that first game. As you said, I mean, people are saying that it's a small amount of an upset, but PartinG's PvP is just so sick.
Yeah, I mean, upset, I think upset just because Squirtle just came off one of the greatest GSL finals. Of course, that was versus a Terran MVP who did end up winning, but there's no doubt that the moment that he was announced that he was coming out here to Red Bull Battlegrounds, that people were like, whoa, another huge, massive Protoss that you're going to add to the list. It's like, yes.
Well, and not to, like, take anything away, you know, from White Raw.
Of course.
But when White Raw on your roster all of a sudden gets changed to somebody that got second place in a Code S of GSL.
Right. It's kind of a big deal. So let's now see what we've got going on. What sort of deviations are we going to see this time? This time we're going to see PartinG throw down that second gateway. Over on the other side, we have the Cybernetics Core, also a second gateway coming out from Squirtle. And it's not going to surprise me to see these guys go with similar builds to start off and then maybe deviate here or there. Again, they are teammates. They probably have a good idea how one another plays. And we're going to find out very, very soon. We're also looking for where the chrono boosts are spent here. Look, we are going to see Warp Gate chrono come out here on PartinG, where on the other side, we're seeing a lot of chrono saved up. So very curious. There we go. Chrono starting now on his Warp Gate, but always Squirtle a little bit behind in this matchup. Second gateway is finishing up, and those Stalkers on their way out.
Yeah, it could actually just be a little bit of a brain fart. PartinG has just been so crisp in all of his movements and decisions throughout this series, and I mean really just throughout any of his play. I'm not sure actually when Squirtle landed when he was coming here. I didn't get a chance to hear his interview earlier. Maybe he was a little bit shooken up. So well, oh wait, no interviews. We haven't gotten to even talk to him.
Well, he did come a little bit later, and we do have a forward pylon here by PartinG. A Nexus going down for Squirtle. Really surprised about this. Wow. We are going to have 3 Stalkers able to move up, but this Stalker here of Squirtle might actually find this pylon if he continues to check every nook and cranny. And more importantly, is there going to be a scout here for PartinG to see that that Nexus is down? It looks like the Stalker will go right past it. And there are going to be now 4 Stalkers out. It looks like a Robo is going to follow this as well. And, I mean, he's ready. He's ready to warp out. And there we go. We have 2 more Stalkers coming into play. But with that Nexus going down, there's going to be literally no army here at all.
Right, and actually, if he's able to catch Squirtle just slightly out of position, as we can see, one of those Zealots actually might end up going down for free, and that means that PartinG's going to be able to follow that up. As a matter of fact, one of those Stalkers is even caught outside of the base, so PartinG's able to get in here, and if he can take down this one pylon, that's going to supply block Squirtle.
I don't know why he decided to go actually with that decision. He's going to now focus fire the Nexus, but keep in mind that robotics facility is outside as well. More Stalkers moving up. And although his opponent, there's a cancellation on both, there is going to be a force field here at the front. But you know what? He's done so much damage. He could wait for another warp in. He could go ahead and get a clear advantage. But hold on, we do have one stalker inside the main base. Two of those stalkers had to be warped in order to battle that. And that's why he didn't get that additional warp in there. But you know what? I would say the pressure is not over here for PartinG.
Oh, interesting to see. Okay, so we now see what could potentially turn into desperation DTs, which are one of the sickest ways to come back in any match. He's now adding on his Twilight Council, so there could be a small trick up his sleeve to try to come back from this. The Twilight Council is now complete.
PartinG, he sees it, there it is. He knows that it is there, although he better get some units on top of that.
Oh.
He's not going to have anything DT-wise that could warp it quite yet, but even some Zealots could do some damage as most of the army is back. He'll just bring back the one stalker, get it done. There's a few more Zealots. Meanwhile, he is going to have that first Colossus come out, and that it just seems like an advantage. That how is his opponent, Squirtle, actually going to be able to combat versus that if he does not get that, or if the DTs don't do, well, we haven't seen it. Darkshine come out yet. He decided to expand instead.
Yeah, he not only decided to expand, but also ended up going for Blink Stalkers as well, so that he can really just try to micro his way out of this corner that he's kind of walked himself into. And again, he's tried to expand yet again, and really I think that PartinG has a pretty solid upper hand. He's just going to wait for this Colossus to get all the way across the field, and he should be in great position to push up. But Squirtle still absolutely has a chance because Blink is going to be done by the time he gets over there.
Yeah, and he is going to get another warp in before this actually gets to this point. And like you mentioned, Blink will be finished. There, the Zealots moving forward. Even if he could pick off one, he'd be in great shape. There it is. One does go down. There was a sentry right over here, but where is he? The force fields won't matter the moment that this Colossus gets in. That Colossus is right there, ready to move up and fire. Once again, that Nexus might be in danger.
Oh, man, and actually the Nexus completely finishes, and Squirtle just probably... I mean, he's on a ticking clock right now, and that Nexus is absolutely going to go down. Oh.
Yeah, that's not good, as PartinG's going to be able to walk up here. No force field is going to be able to stop this group from getting forward. Now, keep in mind, those stalkers of Squirtle did move in from the back. The probes are going to be pulled. It's typically a good sign here for PartinG. Oh, from the back, we do have the stalkers move forward. We see the Colossus move out of position, but there's still so many stalkers here. A lot of probes have gone down. As long as he can continue to get a few more of these stalkers, he should be in good shape. But look at this. Somehow Squirtle, with the 4 stalkers in the back, holds on despite having lost his Nexus twice, despite having had to deal with the Colossus as well. Like, what an amazing thought for Squirtle to go out of his base, get rid of that pylon, and then move in and flank his enemy.
Well, so Squirtle with such a huge defend there. We saw the Zealots were able to just close the gap. He made excellent use of that blink the entire time. And we also saw that PartinG actually didn't follow up by warping in any additional units, right, to follow up his attack. So really that defender's advantage came into play so much for Squirtle.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, probes are pretty good versus stalkers.
Yeah,
he got quite a bit. And here we go, he's going to try to maximize his damage, but there's the blink up top. The Immortal will go down. The rest of the units will fall. And GG! PartinG with a very big advantage early on, but Squirtle, known for comebacks, holy moly.
I'm actually flabbergasted that because repeatedly we saw those things happen that you're like, if somebody loses a couple of units in PvP, you actually lose, or if you lose an expansion, you lose, but not that time. We saw, I mean, he went for blink, right? He said,
it was the right
I'm not going to deal with that. Yeah, and then he made it pay for itself.
He was retaining those units. He was able to come in through the back. The Colossus then, of course, when your Colossus is scooting along, he's not getting that damage done. It wasn't until he was back at the bottom of the base that he started to do the additional damage. And even though quite a few probes were lost, it was nearly equal there at the end. Don't forget, we did have that one stalker who did a little bit of damage inside the main.
It didn't even have to do a lot of damage. The thing was just forcing that extra warp in back at home.
If he would have had that warp in back at the proxy pylon and would have pushed at that point before the Colossus came out, that could have been a completely different story. But now we're going on to Game 3, and it is going to be on Daybreak.
Now, I'm still not sure that we're going to see 2 bases ever come into play, although this map does have quite the large ground-to-ground That was really loud. Ground-to-ground distance between them, and now the players are going to be ready to go.
Let's get this one started. There you see Daybreak. And yes, certainly going to be long distance. We've seen all sorts of PvP matches in this. Everything from very quick proxy gates to just normal 4-gating to